My dear friends, when we talk about the very first habit that every woman should cultivate daily, it is the habit of gratitude. Gratitude is not just a polite thank you, it is a deep feeling of appreciation that transforms the way we look at life. Most of the time, we wake up in the morning, rush into our routine, grab our phone, check messages, scroll through social media, and immediately allow the outside world to set the mood of our day. But imagine if the first thing you did when you opened your eyes was not to pick up your phone, but to pick up your thoughts and direct them towards thankfulness. Imagine whispering to yourself, "Thank you, God, for one more day. Thank you for the breath in my lungs. Thank you for the roof above my head. Thank you for the people I love and those who love me back." Such a small shift, but it can change the entire tone of your day. Think about it. If you start your morning with complaints, "Why is my life so stressful? Why do I have so many responsibilities? Why is this person troubling me?" Then you are feeding your mind with negativity right at the start. Your day will feel heavier, your energy lower, your patience thinner. But if you begin with gratitude, suddenly the same life looks different. You still have the same responsibilities, but you see them as blessings. You see your family not as a burden, but as loved ones you are fortunate to have. You see your work not as stress, but as an opportunity to contribute. Gratitude changes the lens through which you see the world. Let me share a simple example. Imagine two women, both mothers, both working, both equally busy. One wakes up in the morning and complains, "Oh no, another day of chaos. The kids will mess everything. The office will be a nightmare." Her entire morning is rushed, her tone is harsh, her face shows frustration. The other wakes up and says to herself, "Thank you for my children who bring laughter. Thank you for the chance to work and support my family. Thank you for this home where we all stay together." She goes through the same routine, but her smile makes her children calmer, her patience makes her work smoother, and her home feels lighter. The difference is not in circumstances, but in the choice of attitude. Complaint or gratitude? Gratitude is also a medicine. Research has shown that people who practice gratitude daily experience less stress, better sleep, and greater emotional resilience. Why? Because gratitude shifts our focus. Instead of obsessing over what is missing, we start noticing what is present. Instead of counting problems, we start counting blessings. And when we count blessings, we realize how rich we already are. Many of us are chasing happiness thinking it lies in some faraway achievement. But gratitude teaches us happiness is already here, in the small things. Think about the glass of clean water you drink every morning. Millions of people walk miles just to fetch a bucket of water. Think about the fan or air conditioner in your home. In many places, people bear scorching heat without any relief. Think about the shoes on your feet, the clothes in your wardrobe, the food on your plate. These are blessings we overlook every single day. Gratitude is not about having everything perfect. It is about noticing the perfection in what we already have. Now, someone may say, "But how can I be grateful when life is so unfair? When I face struggles? When people hurt me? When I don't get what I want?" My friends, gratitude does not mean ignoring pain or pretending problems don't exist. Gratitude means finding a reason to smile even in the storm. It means saying, "Yes, I am going through a challenge, but thank you for the strength to endure. Yes, I lost something, but thank you for what remains. Yes, I am hurt, but thank you for the lesson I have learned. Gratitude is the art of turning wounds into wisdom. Let me give you another example. Imagine you miss a flight. Naturally, you feel angry and frustrated. But then you hear that the same flight had an emergency landing. Suddenly, you are grateful you missed it. Gratitude often comes in hindsight, but wise people cultivate it in foresight. They trust that even when something seems negative, there is hidden grace behind it. Gratitude, therefore, is also an act of faith. One of the most inspiring habits I have seen in wise people is writing down 3 things they are grateful for every day. Just 3 things. Some days it might be something big like a promotion. Some days it might be something small like a friend's smile or a cup of tea after a tiring day. But this habit trains the mind to look for the good. And when you look for good, you will find it. A woman who practices gratitude daily becomes a magnet of positivity. Her family feels it. Her children learn from it. Her colleagues notice it. Gratitude softens her tone, brightens her face, and strengthens her relationships. Gratitude makes her realize she is not just surviving, she is thriving. And most importantly, gratitude makes her peaceful within herself. Because gratitude teaches us to live in the present moment, not in the regrets of the past or the anxieties of the future. So, my dear friends, let us not underestimate the power of this first habit. Gratitude is not a small ritual, it is a lifestyle. It is not something you practice only when things go right. It is something you hold on to even when things go wrong. Gratitude is not just an occasional thank you, it is a daily mindset. And if you begin your day with this habit, your entire life will start shining differently. My dear friends, the second habit that every woman must practice daily is the habit of self-care. Very often, women take pride in giving, in serving, in nurturing, and in sacrificing for their families and loved ones. And that is beautiful. But in this noble act of giving, many forget one very important person themselves. A woman who forgets herself in the process of taking care of everyone else eventually runs out of energy, out of patience, and out of joy. Just like a mobile phone needs to be charged daily, our body, our mind, and our heart need charging as well. Self-care is not selfish, it is survival. Without it, you cannot continue to give your best to others. Think of a jug filled with water. When it is full, it can pour into many glasses. But if the jug is empty, no matter how many glasses are placed before it, it cannot give a single drop. Many women live like that jug, pouring, 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 until they are empty, exhausted, and burnt out. And then, instead of joyfully giving, they begin to give with irritation and frustration. That is why self-care is essential. When you fill yourself, you can overflow into others with love, patience, and peace. Let's take an example from daily life. Imagine a mother who wakes up early in the morning. The first thing she does is rush into the kitchen, prepare breakfast, get the children ready, organize the house, and then run to work. She doesn't sit down for a proper meal. She doesn't stretch her body. She doesn't pause for a moment to breathe. By the time she reaches the office, she is already drained. Now another mother, in the same situation, wakes up just 20 minutes earlier. She spends 10 minutes in meditation, just breathing and centering herself. She drinks a glass of warm water, stretches, and maybe goes for a short walk. Then she begins her day. Even though both mothers do the same tasks, the second one has more energy, more patience, and more balance because she cared for herself first. It is like what they tell us on airplanes. Put your own oxygen mask first before helping others. Why do they say that? Because if you collapse while trying to save another, you will be of no use to anyone. In life too, you cannot pour love, attention, and support if you yourself are empty inside. Self-care is putting on your oxygen mask every single day. Self-care can be physical, taking time to eat healthy food, drinking enough water, exercising, or simply sleeping well. When a woman neglects her health, she may think she is sacrificing for her family, but in the long run, she becomes weak, sick, and unable to give them the support they need. A strong woman is not one who ignores her health, but one who protects it so she can serve longer and stronger. Self-care is also mental. We live in a world where there is constant noise, news, social media, gossip, endless information. The mind is always overloaded. Taking care of the mind means stepping away from this chaos for some time every day. It could be journaling your thoughts, reading an inspiring book, or just sitting silently without distraction. A few moments of silence can clear away mental clutter and give clarity. Self-care is also emotional. Many women carry the burden of everyone's emotions, the anger of children, the complaints of the spouse, the expectations of parents, the demands of colleagues. They absorb it all, but rarely do they release it. Emotional self-care means allowing yourself to feel, to cry if needed, to talk to a trusted friend, or to seek guidance. It is giving yourself permission to be human. You don't have to be strong all the time. Sometimes, strength is in acknowledging weakness. I remember meeting a woman who shared her story. She was the perfect mother, always attending to her children, the perfect wife, supporting her husband's career, the perfect employee, always meeting deadlines. But deep inside, she was tired. One day, her body gave up. She collapsed from exhaustion. That was the moment she realized, if I don't take care of myself, I cannot take care of anyone else. After that, she began prioritizing self-care, sleeping on time, eating on time, setting boundaries, and allowing herself to rest. And guess what? She became a happier mother, a better wife, and a more effective professional. Self-care also means saying no. Women often feel guilty for refusing requests, thinking it is their duty to please everyone. But saying yes to everyone means saying no to yourself. Self-care is the courage to say, I cannot do this now. I need to rest. I need to recharge. Remember, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Protecting your energy is as important as sharing it. And let me tell you something, self-care is not a luxury, it is a responsibility. Taking a walk in the park, enjoying a cup of tea in peace, listening to music that uplifts you, practicing meditation, writing down your thoughts, or even pampering yourself occasionally, these are not acts of selfishness. They are acts of respect for yourself. And when you respect yourself, the world learns to respect you too. A woman who practices self-care shines differently. Her face glows, her patience increases, her smile becomes natural. People around her feel her calmness and confidence. Children raised by such a woman grow up learning the importance of balance, not burnout. Families supported by such a woman experience peace, not pressure. Workplaces with such a woman see productivity, not resentment. So, my friends, please remember, self-care is not about neglecting others. It is about strengthening yourself so that you can serve others better. It is not about running away from responsibilities. It is about returning to them with renewed energy. It is not about selfishness. It is about sustainability. And when you practice self-care every single day, you will realize that life does not feel like a burden anymore. It feels like a blessing. My dear friends, the third habit that every woman must practice daily is the habit of forgiveness. Forgiveness is like a key that unlocks the door to peace. Without forgiveness, we may live in the same house, eat at the same table, smile in the same photographs, but deep inside, our heart carries a burden that refuses to let us rest. Every harsh word, every careless action, every betrayal we experience, if not released, settles like dust on our heart, making it heavy, making it restless. Forgiveness is like cleaning that dust every single day so our heart remains light and free. We often think forgiveness is for others, that by forgiving we are doing someone else a favor. But the truth is, forgiveness is first and foremost for ourselves. When we forgive, we are not saying that what the other person did was right. We are not excusing their mistakes or justifying their behavior. Forgiveness means we are choosing not to carry the poison of resentment in our own heart, because holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. In the end, the only person who suffers is us. Think of a simple daily example. A husband comes home late and forgets to inform his wife. She has cooked, waited, and worried. When he finally arrives, she is furious. Now, she has two choices. One, she can hold on to the anger, replaying the event in her head, complaining, shouting, and carrying bitterness into the next day. Or two, she can communicate her feelings, but then let it go, forgiving him for his mistake. Which choice will give her more peace? The second, because holding on to anger punishes her more than it punishes him. Forgiveness is not about erasing memory. It is about choosing peace over pain. Another example is among friends. Imagine a close friend forgets your birthday. You feel hurt and unimportant. If you hold on to this, the friendship suffers. Every time you meet, you carry the hidden grudge. But if you say, I was hurt, but I choose to forgive, you free yourself from bitterness and you protect the relationship. Forgiveness is the glue that holds friendships together, the bridge that keeps families united, the balm that heals wounds before they become scars. Some people say, but you don't know what I went through. How can I forgive such deep hurt? And it's true, some wounds cut very deep. Some betrayals are not small. But even in those situations, forgiveness is possible. Forgiveness does not mean you must accept the person back into your life or allow them to hurt you again. Forgiveness simply means you no longer let their actions control your peace. It means you are choosing freedom over bondage. By forgiving, you are saying, I refuse to be a prisoner of the past. I will not allow yesterday's pain to steal today's happiness. Forgiveness is also like unclogging a pipe. Imagine water trying to flow through a blocked pipe. It cannot move freely. Similarly, love and happiness cannot flow in a heart blocked by grudges. When you forgive, you unclog the heart, and suddenly joy begins to flow again. That is why people who forgive look lighter, smile brighter, and age slower. Forgiveness is not only a spiritual act, it is also a medicine for the body. Science even says that forgiveness lowers blood pressure, reduces stress, and improves mental health. Truly, forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. Let me share a story. There was once a woman who carried hatred for her neighbor because of a quarrel that happened years ago. Every time she saw her, she would feel her heart tighten. She avoided her, spoke ill of her, and even poisoned her own family's minds against her. One day, the neighbor moved away. The woman thought she would finally feel relief. But the grudge had become part of her heart. It remained even when the neighbor was gone. She realized forgiveness was not about the other person at all. It was about her. Unless she forgave, she would never be free. When she finally decided to let go, she felt as though a heavy stone had been lifted from her chest. She could smile again and peace returned. My friends, forgiveness is a habit we must practice daily because offenses will come daily. Someone will say something insensitive. Someone will disappoint us. Someone will forget our efforts. If every time we collect those hurts, our heart will become like a crowded storage room, full of junk and unable to welcome anything new. But if we make forgiveness a habit, like brushing our teeth or cleaning our home, we keep our heart fresh and ready for love. Forgiveness also teaches humility. Sometimes we too make mistakes. We hurt others unintentionally. We forget. We fail. We disappoint. When we forgive others, we create a culture where forgiveness can also return to us. A forgiving woman creates an environment where people are not afraid to make mistakes, where they can grow, learn, and try again without fear of being endlessly punished. Such an environment is where families thrive and relationships deepen. Remember, forgiveness is not weakness. Many people think that forgiving makes them look small, but in reality, forgiveness is the sign of strength. Anyone can hold a grudge, but only the strong can let go. Only the strong can rise above the pain and choose love over hatred. A woman who forgives is not smaller, she is greater, because she has conquered her own heart. So, my dear friends, let us practice forgiveness daily. Forgive the small mistakes immediately, so they don't grow into big resentments. Forgive the big mistakes eventually, so they don't poison your life. And forgive yourself too, because sometimes the hardest person to forgive is the one in the mirror. Remember, forgiveness does not change the past, but it surely changes the future. And when you forgive, you don't just set someone else free, you set yourself free. My dear friends, the fourth habit that every woman must practice daily is the habit of speaking with kindness. Words are not just sounds that come out of our mouths, they are powerful forces that can either heal or hurt, build or break, uplift or destroy. We may not always realize it, but every word we speak carries energy. That energy either adds light to someone's day or takes away their peace. The tongue is such a small part of the body, yet it has the power to create wars or bring peace, to cause tears or inspire smiles. That is why it is said that kind words may be short and easy to speak, but their echoes are truly endless. Think about your own day. From morning till night, how many people do you interact with? Family, children, spouse, parents, colleagues, shopkeepers, neighbors. Every interaction becomes meaningful or painful depending on how words are exchanged. A single word can make a child feel encouraged or discouraged. A single sentence can make a spouse feel loved or unwanted. A single tone can make an employee feel valued or humiliated. Words are not cheap, words are investments. And like every investment, they return to us. Imagine a woman wakes up in the morning and her child accidentally spills milk on the floor. If she shouts, "Why are you always so careless? You never do anything right," those words will stick to the child's heart. He may clean the mess, but the wound remains. Now imagine instead she says, "It's okay, accidents happen, just be a little careful next time." The same incident, but the words transform the outcome. One set of words damages self-esteem, the other teaches responsibility with love. That is the power of speaking with kindness. Kindness in speech is not just about what we say, but also how we say it. You can speak the truth, but if you say it harshly, it becomes like a sharp knife. For example, if a husband forgets to help with a task, a wife could say, "You are always useless, you never support me." Or she could say, "I really needed your help, maybe next time we can work together." Both convey the same message, but one creates distance, the other builds partnership. The difference is tone, the difference is kindness. Sometimes we think kindness is weakness, but in reality, kindness is strength. Anyone can speak in anger, anyone can throw harsh words, but it takes true inner strength to pause, to control, and to respond with gentleness. A gentle woman is not weak, she is wise. She understands that anger may win an argument, but kindness wins hearts. And in the long run, winning hearts is far more important. Let's take another daily life example. At the workplace, imagine a woman leader giving feedback to her team. If she says, "This work is terrible, you clearly don't know what you're doing," her team member will feel insulted and demotivated. But if she says, "I see you worked hard on this, but let's try to improve these parts," the person feels respected and motivated to do better. A few extra words of kindness can turn criticism into inspiration. Kindness in words also has a ripple effect. When you speak gently to your child, that child learns to speak gently to others. When you speak respectfully to your spouse, they mirror it back. When you spread kindness at work, it influences the entire culture of the office. Just like a small pebble creates ripples in a pond, a single kind word creates ripples of positivity around you. But why do we often fail to practice this habit? Because we forget the weight of words. We think, "Oh, I was just angry, I didn't mean it." But the truth is, once spoken, words cannot be taken back. They may be forgiven, but not forgotten. It's like hammering a nail into wood. When you pull the nail out, the hole remains. Similarly, when harsh words are spoken, the scar remains in the heart. That is why it is better to pause before speaking, to choose words consciously, to ask ourselves, "Will this heal or will this hurt?" A wise woman once said, "Before you speak, let your words pass through 3 gates. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind?" If your words pass all 3, then they are worth speaking. If not, silence is better. Silence never hurts, but harsh words always do. We must also remember that kindness in words does not cost money. It does not demand extra effort. It only requires mindfulness. Sometimes it's as simple as saying, "Thank you," to the bus driver, "Please," to the shopkeeper, "I appreciate you," to your children, or "I am proud of you," to your spouse. These small words can transform ordinary moments into beautiful memories. There was once a teacher who greeted every student with, "You are special." Years later, her students returned to tell her that those simple words had changed their lives. Some had been on the verge of giving up, but her daily words of kindness gave them hope. This shows us that kindness in speech does not need big speeches. Even a sentence spoken with sincerity can change someone's destiny. So, my dear friends, speaking with kindness is not just a habit, it is a way of life. It is choosing every day to spread peace instead of pain, to sow love instead of hatred, to build bridges instead of walls. A woman who practices this habit becomes like the fragrance of a flower. Wherever she goes, she leaves behind sweetness. Her home becomes a place of comfort, her workplace becomes a place of cooperation, and her relationships become stronger and deeper. Remember, the tongue has no bones, yet it is strong enough to break a heart. But if used wisely, it is strong enough to heal one too. Let us choose healing over hurting, love over anger, kindness over cruelty. Because at the end of the day, people may forget what you said, they may forget what you did, but they will never forget how your words made them feel. My dear friends, the fifth habit that every woman must practice daily is the habit of feeding her mind with something uplifting. We all know that our body needs food. Without food, the body becomes weak, fragile, and lifeless. But how often do we realize that our mind too needs food? And not just any food, the right food. Whatever you allow into your mind daily shapes the way you think, feel, and act. If you fill your mind with gossip, negativity, and endless comparison, your heart will feel heavy. But if you feed your mind with wisdom, inspiration, and positivity, your heart will feel light, hopeful, and strong. Think about it. Most women begin their days scrolling through social media. Within minutes, they see pictures of perfect homes, perfect families, perfect bodies, and perfect vacations. And suddenly, instead of feeling grateful for their own life, they begin to feel inadequate. They compare, they feel small, and their self-worth gets attacked. This is not the food of inspiration. This is junk food for the mind. Just like junk food spoils health, junk information spoils inner peace. That is why we must carefully choose what we feed our minds daily. Imagine waking up every morning and reading one page from an inspiring book. Perhaps a book on wisdom, spirituality, or personal growth. Or imagine listening to a motivational speech while cooking breakfast, or hearing soothing devotional music during your commute. How would that shape your day? The words of wisdom will stay in your heart, guide your thoughts, and influence your behavior. A wise line read in the morning can echo in your mind the entire day, reminding you to be calm, kind, and grateful. Let me give you a small example. There was a woman who struggled with anger. She would often shout at her children and regret it later. One day, she started the habit of listening to 10 minutes of spiritual talks every morning. Slowly, those words began to influence her. When she felt her anger rising, she remembered the words she had heard earlier. Pause before reacting. Over time, she became calmer, her children felt more secure, and her home became more peaceful. This is the power of uplifting input. It shapes not only your mind, but also your actions. We must understand that our mind is like a garden. If you plant weeds, weeds will grow. If you plant flowers, flowers will grow. If you leave it unattended, wild grass will take over. Every day, by what you read, hear, and watch, you are planting seeds in your mental garden. If you want peace, plant peaceful thoughts. If you want courage, plant inspiring ideas. If you want joy, plant gratitude. And just like a garden needs daily watering, your mind needs daily nourishment. One day of inspiration is not enough, it must become a habit. Think about how much time we spend feeding the body. 3 meals a day, snacks in between, tea and coffee breaks. But how much time do we spend feeding the mind? If we give even 15 minutes daily to uplifting input, it will transform our perspective. For example, listening to an audiobook while doing household chores can turn boring tasks into learning sessions. Reading a small passage before bed can calm your mind and improve sleep. Even writing down one positive thought in a journal daily can uplift your spirit. Let's take another example. Imagine 2 women starting their mornings. The first one listens to the news filled with violence, corruption, and fear. The second listens to a podcast on kindness, hope, and gratitude. Whose day do you think will feel lighter? The second one. The world is already full of negativity. Why add more of it to our hearts? Instead, we must deliberately choose uplifting voices that remind us of goodness, faith, and resilience. And uplifting input does not always have to be formal. It could be reading a story to your child that teaches kindness. It could be listening to an elder share life experiences. It could be watching a short video that inspires you to be better. What matters is that every single day, your mind receives something that strengthens it. Because when challenges come, and they will, your mind will draw strength from what it has been fed. It's like saving money in a bank. When you need it, you withdraw. Similarly, when you daily deposit positivity in your mind, you can withdraw it during tough times. When someone offends you, instead of reacting harshly, you remember a line you read about forgiveness. When you feel hopeless, you recall a story you heard about resilience. When you feel small, you remember a teaching about self-worth. That stored wisdom becomes your shield in life's battles. And do not underestimate the ripple effect. A woman who feeds her mind with uplifting thoughts radiates that energy to everyone around her. Her children learn from her example. Her spouse feels supported by her calmness. Her colleagues feel encouraged by her positivity. By uplifting her own mind, she uplifts her environment. So, my dear friends, make it a daily habit to feed your mind with something that uplifts you. Just as you never forget to eat breakfast, never forget to nourish your thoughts. Even if it's just 5 minutes, make it sacred. Choose your inputs wisely, because what goes in will surely come out. If you put in fear, you will spread fear. If you put in love, you will spread love. And if you put in wisdom, you will spread light. A woman who daily uplifts her mind becomes like a lamp. Wherever she goes, she removes darkness. Her presence comforts others, her words inspire, and her life becomes a testimony that true beauty is not in appearance, but in attitude. And that attitude comes from what she feeds her mind with every single day. My dear friends, the 6th habit that every woman must practice daily is the habit of managing time wisely. Time is the most precious gift we are given in this life. Unlike money, once time is spent, it never comes back. You can earn money again, you can replace lost things, but you cannot rewind a single moment of life. And yet, How often do we waste it without realizing? We let minutes slip into hours, hours slip into days, and days slip into years, only to look back and wonder, where did all my time go? Managing time wisely is not about rushing through life. It is about living each moment with awareness, purpose, and balance. Every woman knows the struggle of balancing responsibilities, taking care of the family, managing the home, handling work, and sometimes taking care of herself. If time is not managed properly, it feels like a never-ending race where you are always running but never arriving. But when you learn to manage time, you don't just add order to your day, you add peace to your heart. Let me share a simple example. Imagine a woman who wakes up late, in a hurry, rushing to prepare breakfast, shouting at her children to get ready, forgetting things at home, and reaching work stressed and exhausted. Her whole day feels like chaos because the morning started with chaos. Now imagine another woman who wakes up a little earlier, spends a few quiet minutes in prayer or reflection, prepares things the night before, organizes her tasks, and moves through her morning calmly. She does the same duties, but with peace instead of panic. The difference is not in the number of hours they have. Both have 24. The difference is in how they manage their time. Time management also means learning to distinguish between what is urgent and what is important. Sometimes we spend all our energy running after urgent things, answering endless phone calls, responding to messages, attending to small interruptions, while the important things like quality time with family, self-care, or personal growth are ignored. At the end of the day, the urgent things get done, but the important things remain undone, and that's what makes life feel empty. Wise women know that life is not about doing more, it is about doing what matters most. Let's take another example. A woman has 2 hours free in the evening. She can choose to spend those 2 hours scrolling through social media, comparing herself with others, feeling low and restless. Or she can choose to spend those 2 hours reading, exercising, talking to her children, or learning a new skill. Same 2 hours, but one choice drains her, the other enriches her. Time management is not about having more time. It is about making better choices with the time you already have. And let us remember, time management is not only about discipline, it is also about balance. A woman may be very organized with her work, but may neglect time for relationships. She may give all her time to family, but neglect herself. She may spend all her time serving others, but forget her own dreams. True time management is when every aspect of life, family, work, health, relationships, spirituality, and self gets its share of attention. That does not mean giving equal time to everything, but giving the right time to the right thing. One of the secrets to managing time is planning ahead. Even a few minutes of planning can save hours of confusion later. For example, writing down the next day's tasks the night before helps you wake up with clarity. Preparing meals in advance saves stress in the morning. Setting aside time for important things like reading, exercise, or prayer ensures they don't get lost in the business of the day. Planning is like drawing a map before starting a journey. It helps you reach your destination without getting lost. Another important part of managing time is learning to say no. Many women feel guilty saying no, so they keep adding task after task, responsibility after responsibility, until they are overloaded and exhausted. But saying yes to everything means saying no to yourself. A wise woman knows her limits and chooses carefully where to invest her time. Every yes should be meaningful, and every no should be courageous. Time management also teaches us to value the present moment. Sometimes we waste today by worrying about tomorrow or regretting yesterday. But when we are mindful, we give our full attention to the present. When you are with your child, be fully present. When you are at work, give your best. When you are resting, truly rest. This kind of focused living makes time feel richer, even if it is the same 24 hours. I remember a story of a woman who once said, "I don't have time for prayer. I don't have time for myself. I don't have time for dreams." Then, one day, she fell sick and had to spend weeks resting. Suddenly, she realized time was always there, but she had been spending it on less meaningful things. Illness taught her what wisdom could have taught earlier, that time must be managed before it is taken away. From then on, she began prioritizing, and her life transformed. My friends, time is like currency. If you waste it on small purchases, you will never have enough for the big ones. If you waste it on trivial activities, you will not have enough for meaningful ones. But if you invest it wisely, it multiplies in value. A few minutes of quality time with your child becomes a lifelong memory for them. An hour of learning daily makes you an expert in a year. A habit of organizing your day makes your entire life more peaceful. So, let us not say, "I don't have time." Instead, let us say, "I will make time for what matters." Because the truth is, we all have the same 24 hours. The question is not how much time we have, but how wisely we use it. A woman who manages her time well becomes not only efficient, but also peaceful. She is not constantly rushing or regretting. She lives with purpose, with balance, and with joy.